are you? And welcome back to TerraVoid. So you see this little black cat here? This is the cat that goes with the baby witch, which you guys saw in the last episode, I believe. Or one of the last episodes. Anyways, it took a lot for me to get this little guy into my house, and I will tell you guys the story about that in a minute. But I want to talk about some other things too, because I'm going to show you guys my nether portal in a second. By the way, this is post-footage commentary, but I put a nether portal there. I forgot that you can cut, and in there I'm going to be building something, which I'll tell you guys about later. But there's also this thing over here that I wanted to show off, which is the little, excuse me, bed that I made for Reginald. And now I'm sleeping. So, to get into the story of how I got the black cat into my house. Reginald was very naughty, because the first black cat that I found was killed by Reginald, because you see the black cat is a hostile mob. That's Fred's play area, by the way. Anyways, so it was complicated. So basically I wasted a name tag the first time around, because I named the little black cat after I killed the baby witch. And it followed me because it's hostile, so it wants to hurt me, so it just followed me. I brought it all the way into the house, forgetting that the wolf will attack it and kill it, like, automatically. And so the little black cat, the first one, didn't last very long, and then I was really pissed off. And so I'm like, no, I'm not going to give up. So I went through hell and high water to find another baby witch, which is very hard because I had to wait for one to spawn. So then I went and found one, finally, named that one, attached a lead to it, and before I had done all this, by the way, I had taken my wolf and actually brought my wolf all the way out far into the savannah somewhere where it wouldn't get teleported to me, and then I had to take all my cats and put them there too, just 'cause, and then I put the little black cat in that little place. Yeah. So anyways, that whole, like, empty stone area that you guys saw there, I'm going to be building something in there that's for all my reptiles. So, to talk about the nether here, the spiders are so much easier to deal with in the nether than they are in the overworld. I don't know why. I don't know if maybe it's because I can see them coming, so I can be ready for them a little bit better. Excuse me, I'm still coughing a little bit from being sick, and I apologize, but it's either I wait like 2 more weeks for this to go away, because I'm sure this is going to last for a couple more weeks, or I just record through it and we all just kind of accept that it's the reality of the situation. So, yeah, it was interesting. Also, this is the Burnium, and the Burnium ore doesn't appear to get destroyed by the Burnium blocks, like, you know how when things fall down on a cactus block it gets destroyed. Well, that doesn't seem to happen here. However, these things do burn you, and it hurts, as we saw. I don't quite know what you do with the Burnium crystals yet. I haven't quite figured that out. I'm going to keep doing my research. I haven't been able to find, like, a wiki for the TerraVoid mod, which is what this is a part of. So if you guys are familiar with the TerraVoid mod and you know how this works, and if you could tell me in the comment section, I would really appreciate it, or at least give me, like, a hint or something, and then let me figure out the rest, something like that, because I really want to be able to, like, do this, whatever it is, and yeah, I mean, I know they go to tools, but I can't get the crafting recipes because it doesn't seem to be compatible with just enough items, and I don't want to get, like, another item crafting database, or what do you call it, thing similar to just enough items. Like, I really don't. So, yeah, but I just took the time to harvest, like, all of this, by the way, because I thought it was, like, really important to have it all. So, yeah, I went through a lot of harvesting of this. So anyways, that's pretty much the gist of what happened to me here in the nether. I definitely didn't find a fortress in this recording. I'm not going to tell you if I found one in the future, but in this recording I definitely did not find a fortress, but I did find other things and have other experiences that were really awesome. The terrain generation seems to be different in the nether because of the Terrachaos mod, and that's great. I'm in heaven about that. I think it's wonderful. I love it. It's so cool. Like, the nether just feels so good, and it's nice. And I didn't mess with this guy, obviously, because this, to me, is like the scariest mob I've ever seen in my life, and it's like, nah, I'm not gonna mess with that. That's gonna get me killed. So anyways, now to talk about the kind of stuff that I would normally talk about in a vlog, but chose not to for reasons which you guys will see when I upload the Sunday vlog that's coming up on Sunday. Throwing myself in the fire, that's great. Anyways, so basically, this past Friday, or as you guys know, I had the vlogs come out, you know, during that, that past Sunday because of that friend of mine who had passed about a week ago. And so, that was obviously a very emotional vlog, and I didn't mention it in that vlog because at the time when I recorded it, I didn't know about the event, but a lot of people that knew Chris had a sacred fire ceremony this past Friday, and I went to that. And it was absolutely beautiful for like 5,000 different reasons. It was beautiful, first of all, because I got to experience the ceremony itself, which was really exciting, because I had never seen this before, encountered this, and I really wanted to just, how can I put it, learn about this and see what this was like. I was very intrigued, but more importantly, this was partially closure for me, and it was also an opportunity to meet other people who were friends with Chris and people who would have other stories to share about him and their different experiences with him, because Chris just had such a profound effect on so many people, and he really just brought people together. He's a very magnetic person, and one person during the ceremony had mentioned that it was great how even though he had died, he was still bringing people together because of this ceremony. It was really incredible. So the way that the ceremony actually works is there are gender roles. This is a Odawa tribe ceremony, or like the origins are with the Odawa. Excuse me. And so what you do is you have the fire pit, and the men tend to the fire and the women tend to the cedar. And what we do is we went out and we get clippings from like little tiny clippings of little things from cedar branches and whatnot, and we place that in a circle on the very outer rim of the fire pit. And before you actually enter the circle, which is around the fire pit, like there's the circle of the fire pit and then there's another circle around it, and it has its own doorway into it, we have to be smudged. And smudging is basically cleansing yourself with the smoke from sage, sometimes from tobacco too, but sage is really the most appropriate in that setting. So that's what we did. And it was so cool. And it was so much fun for everybody to just share all their different stories. And I think, oh gosh, I heard so many different stories, and I think my favorite was the one where they talked about how Chris showed up at this wilderness school dressed in a full bear suit, for the sole purpose of, there was like a video that he was going to record of him like taking a bear out into the wild and socializing it and teaching it how to be a bear. And it was just absolutely hilarious hearing about this story, because picturing him, because he was like 5'9" or 5'10", he was not like a short guy, picturing him in a bear suit, just it's kind of one of those things, I guess, maybe to visualize it, you kind of had to know him to find it funny, but at the same time, given the personality that he had, it was just absolutely hilarious to hear about that. And I shared some of my stories with him too, like when I had met one of his cats, and this may seem like an odd story to share, but it was funny because, I walked into his apartment for the first time, and his cat was just standing there staring at me. So, like in typical cat lover fashion, I just knelt down on the floor and like called her to me, and she just like trotted over to me. And Chris is looking at me like, "What the hell?" And he's like, and I just start petting her, and she was letting me, and he's like, "She never does that. She doesn't even like my mom," And I'm like, I don't know why this is happening. It's happening. So we he's giving me this big speech about how she's like not friendly and she doesn't like anyone except him. And then, like as soon as he said that, she actually turned around and like swatted me and hissed at me. And so he like started grinning. He's like, "See, she only likes me." It was really funny. He was so jealous. It was absolutely adorable. So funny things like that, and we had a good time. And I'm not a religious person and I'm not a spiritual person. But I will definitely say that and I mean I've said it before. I'm gonna repeat myself. When the person's physical body dies, they're the things that they did for people, the legacy that they have, that lives on. And I don't believe in that in the sense of like an afterlife, but I do genuinely believe that we all leave behind our energy, and our energy stays within things. And this is not an uncommon belief. There are a lot of people around the world in a variety of cultures who believe similar things for many different reasons. Sometimes it's religious, like when it comes to Shintoism, for example, which is the one of the predominant religions in Japan. It's a religion or religious practice, but it's also cross-cultural at the same time. And a lot of people in Japan who practice Shintoism do believe that energy is left behind within objects, and that energy can be very haunting in both a positive and negative way. So, if you're wondering, by the way, in the footage I'm firing on, it's a couple of blaze spiders that are like hanging out in the lava over there. It's probably hard to see because they're so far away, but those little things that I'm shooting at, those are blaze spiders. You'll get to see those guys, I'm pretty sure, in this footage. If not, probably maybe in the next episode, or next couple of episodes. But anyways, so... It was nice when this woman, Rebecca, I believe her name was, showed up at the fire ceremony, because she started talking about her different stories about Chris, and I could definitely feel his presence there in terms of like his energy, because as she started talking, the fire itself started getting more active. It started spitting up more and swirling around more. And it wasn't until she stopped talking that it kind of quieted down. And it was pretty cool, because I got the impression from her stories that the two of them, how some people, when they're around each other, they feed off each other's energy? I got that sense from the stories that she shared, that that's how they were as friends, and I thought that was really cool. So, yeah, and there were a lot of people that I got to meet at this event too, or at the ceremony, and that was really beautiful. Excuse me. And, one guy in particular, this guy Justin, he, was one of Chris's just closest friends, and when he told me the story of how the two of them met, it was funny because, and I know exactly what, Justin was talking about because I've seen it in action, but Chris had this, like, nature box. I'm not kidding you. This box that Chris would put, like, different nature-related things in for, like, art projects and whatnot. It was literally Chris's nature box. And so, Chris is, like, wandering around at this, wilderness school that they both worked at, and Justin goes up to Chris and he's like, "That's a nice nature box you got going on there." Chris is like, "Yeah, it's my nature box. It's stuff that I put nature things in," and they're talking about it. And it's important to understand that these are not children, by the way. These are two guys who, at the time, I think were in their 30s when this happened. But it's funny because that's the kind of thing that you would expect kids to do, but they were the two of them both were just so how could I put it? They never stopped being kids. Like, they were adults and they were mature for their age, obviously, but they never let go of their youthfulness at the same time, and that's important. But it was funny because as Joseph was telling me that, I'm like, that is so adorable, and he's like, it was so cute, right? It was just like the cutest thing, and he said to me, like right after I met him, I knew after that point that he was gonna be my best friend. And I just thought that was just the cutest thing. And I can relate to that because, I remember when I met Christina and, like, right after I met her, was like, I knew she was the one. She was the best friend. She would be the best friend forever. Um, and I thought that was wonderful. So that was a wonderful conversation. And it was nice because we did this at my friend Bill's property too, which was really wonderful because Bill's property is gorgeous. And I never actually been to that part of his property yet. Like, I've been to his house before, but I had never been at his properties, so, or like down where like his fire pit is and where the field is, where he has, the May Day celebration and the maypole and all that good stuff, and it was so nice to finally see it. Like, I don't know why the other times I've been to his place I've never been down there. It could be because maybe it was cold outside and we didn't want to linger outside very long. But in any case, it was really nice. The whole experience was absolutely beautiful, and it was good closure, but it was also just, oh, I don't think I realized that when I recorded this footage, but the spider, died on the Burnium. That, I'm fine with that. Like, that's a good thing. I might just do, like, a whole line of Burnium blocks around my, base of operations so that every time spiders come in, they could just get stuck on that and die, and I could just watch them burn to death. That'd be really funny to make a whole video about that. Anyways, so the whole event was absolutely beautiful, and I loved it, and I, just, it was really good closure. I mean, I am still grieving, and I'm probably gonna be grieving for, like, grieving for a long time. I'm gonna miss him for a long time, obviously. I don't think there's ever really going to be a moment in my future where I will be okay with Chris's presence not being in my life. I mean, granted, as you guys know from my vlogs, he and I stopped talking a long time ago, but, even after he and I stopped talking, I wasn't okay with he and I not, or him not being in my life. Like, I could accept that, but it doesn't mean that I liked it. You know what I mean? Like, when I say I wasn't okay with it, it's like I understood that that was the way that things had to be, but it just, I missed him a lot. So, yeah, and I still miss him, and everybody who knew him misses him, but at the same time, it's okay. And I know it probably sounds weird to say that it's okay, but it's okay. So, anyways, not to get, like, totally depressing or anything like that, this is the point in the footage where I'm like, I'm gonna find a stupid fortress. I mean, the nether looks great, but I'm gonna find a stupid fortress, I'm gonna get my hands on some of this glowstone, because I've been wanting glowstone for, like, since the beginning of the series, because glowstone, and I don't know why these things, like, get slowness after the second time that you hit them, or after the first time you hit them, but I'm okay with it. Excuse me, because I've had so many issues with spiders being too quick and under my feet, me unable to hit them, and I am, like, so done with it. And this was also the point in time when I could hear the baby ghast but not know where it was, and deeply wanting to find it just for the experience. Oh, there it is. It's really adorable. I mean, I had to kill it, but it was really cute. I mean, it does the exact same thing as the regular ghast. It just, is smaller. and it makes slightly different noises. But otherwise, it's pretty much the same thing. And much harder, obviously. It died from something. I'm not really sure what, but okay. And then there's the big one, of course. But it is much harder to hit with the, fire charge. But in any case, and, I really do love how, like, the baby mobs will cling to the bigger versions of themselves. That's really adorable. I mean, I know these things are like hostile mobs and they're deadly, but it's cute. So, yeah. I mean, I've always thought that the ghast were kind of adorable, but the baby ones are way cuter. It's kind of funny, but believe it or not, I literally spent about 25 minutes in here straight. Despite, like, all the spiders and everything. Like, I was that comfortable in this, in the nether with all of these mods, which shocked me, because I forgot about that. That was probably the most horrifying thing that I saw, though, during this recording. I completely forgot about how scary that was. It's like, I'm exploiting my bow because of reasons. It's like, I'm not going to go down there. I'm going to get swarmed and killed very easily. So, yeah. These nether spiders, they're the ones that really pack a punch. That's what I learned from this. It's fine. I mean, it's not fine, but it's fine. So what else was I going to talk about? There was something else that I wanted to talk to you guys about. Oh yeah, so I had a really wonderful experience at work today too, because as you guys know, I work with kids, and we don't refuse children who have disabilities, of course, because, I mean, not just on the basis of, human rights and morality, you don't refuse kids with disabilities, but also because we have this thing called the Americans with Disabilities Act that says don't do that, for legal reasons, but also because, we care about people. So I was working with this kid today who was just absolutely wonderful, and I'm not going to talk specifically about what his disability or disabilities were, because it's not anybody's business. And honestly, it's really not all that interesting. It's just, I had to kind of go toe-to-toe with one of my managers, because he seemed to not know what the policy is, and our policy is that, generally speaking, of course, parents for average children who do not have disabilities don't come into the play area because they don't need to be there. But when it comes to children with disabilities, if the children have a minor medical reason that would require the parent to be there but would not be a hindrance to other children or to themselves, then of course the parent can accompany the child, because that just makes sense. Well, this particular manager just didn't understand that, and so he was like trying to just outright refuse that, and I kept reminding him of the policy, and he didn't understand. And it wasn't like I said to him, hey, can we do this? I literally called him to let him know what was about to go on, because we're just supposed to call the manager and say, hey, this is what we're about to do. And one of the other managers who was on duty at the time, she stuck up for me, which I really appreciated, because it's like, of course we're going to take this kid in. Oh, he was so happy once he got to come in. And I mean, the parent didn't, and the kid didn't have to wait more than 5 minutes, which was good. But he was so happy. So happy for so many different reasons. But, it was so great. And he was so much fun to be around. And he was so appreciative of everything. He got to go in the ball pit. We have like this tunnel the kids can climb around in. He got to do that. And it was just a blast. I mean, it was really wonderful. And I loved it. It really made my day. So, yeah, I think that's everything. So, we're about at the end of the episode here. So, I want to thank you guys very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you guys next time.